you've ever caught your cat scratching the couch, jumping on the counter, or knocking something off a shelf just to watch it fall, you've probably said no, in that sharp, frustrated voice we all know so well. And if you're like most cat owners, your cat looked at you, blinked, and did it again 5 minutes later. That's not because your cat is stubborn or ignoring you on purpose. It's because no simply isn't a word cats are wired to understand. Not the way we mean it anyway. By the end of this video, you'll know exactly how to communicate boundaries to your cat in a way that actually makes sense to them. No yelling, no damaged trust, no feeling like you're fighting a losing battle every single day. Let's start with the reason no doesn't really land with cats in the first place. Cats don't process human language the way dogs do. And they definitely don't process it the way people do. A dog has been bred for thousands of years to read our tone, our expressions, our verbal cues as signals of approval or disapproval. Cats haven't gone through quite the same path. What they do respond to incredibly well, actually, is timing, body language, consequences. Your cat is constantly learning through association. Something pleasant happens right after a behavior. That behavior gets reinforced. Something unpleasant or just uninteresting, your cat starts avoiding it. So here's the core principle that's going to shape everything else in this video. Your goal isn't to teach your cat the word no. Your goal is to teach your cat which behaviors lead to good outcomes and which ones lead to nothing at all. Once you understand how your cat actually learns, the rest becomes so much easier. Now let's talk about timing, because this is where a lot of well-meaning cat owners lose the plot without even realizing it. For a correction to mean anything to your cat, it has to happen in the moment, right as the behavior is happening or within a second or two after. Even a delay of 5-10 seconds can completely break the connection in your cat's mind. Think about it from their perspective. Your cat scratches the couch. You walk over 30 seconds later to scold them. All they're going to associate with that scolding is whatever they happen to be doing right then, which might just be sitting quietly, looking at you. That's incredibly confusing. And over time, it can actually make your cat more anxious around you, not more well-behaved. So whether it's scratching the couch, jumping under the counter, or biting a little too hard during play, the timing of your response has to be immediate. And here's the takeaway I want you to hold on to through the rest of this video. You're correcting the behavior, not the cat. So if yelling no doesn't work, what actually does? This is where I want to introduce a simple 3-step framework, one you can apply to almost any unwanted behavior. Step 1. Interrupt calmly. This doesn't mean shouting or startling your cat dramatically. Just a short, neutral sound. A gentle clap. Something to break their focus. Step 2. Redirect. The moment you've interrupted the behavior, guide your cat toward an acceptable alternative. Right away. Step 3, and this is the one most people skip. Reward the correct choice. Your cat was scratching the couch. You redirect them to a scratching post. They take even one swipe at it. That's the moment to praise them. Offer a small treat. This pattern works because it gives your cat a clear answer to the question every animal is silently asking, what should I do instead? Without that answer, all you're doing is telling them what not to do, over and over, with no real solution offered. Let's walk through how this framework actually applies to some of the situations you're probably dealing with right now. Starting with scratching furniture. Cats scratch because it's a natural behavior tied to stretching, marking territory, keeping their claws healthy. So simply stopping the behavior isn't realistic. Instead, place a scratching post directly next to the furniture they're currently targeting. Reward them enthusiastically the first several times they use it. Over time, you can gradually move the post to a more convenient spot. Next, jumping on counters. This one's usually driven by curiosity or the search for food. So the fix here is less about correction and more about making the counter uninteresting, while making an alternative spot, like a cat tree near a window, far more rewarding. And then there's biting during play, which often happens when play gets a little too rough. The moment teeth touch skin, stop the interaction completely. Offer a toy instead of your hand. Resume play only once your cat is calm, and finally meowing for attention at inconvenient times, like 5 in the morning. The key here is to avoid rewarding that specific timing with attention or food, while reinforcing calm, quiet moments throughout the day instead. Notice the pattern in every single one of these. Identify the problem. Understand why it's happening. Offer a better response. Now, before we go any further, I want to address some of the most common mistakes. The ones that actually teach your cat the wrong lesson entirely. Because a lot of advice out there does more harm than good. Yelling might feel satisfying in the moment, but it typically just teaches your cat to be afraid of you, not to avoid the behavior. The same goes for spray bottles, which have become almost a default suggestion online. All that really accomplishes is making your cat associate you, specifically with something unpleasant and unpredictable. Physical punishment of any kind is completely off the table, not just because it's harmful, but because it actively breaks the trust that makes training possible in the first place. Chasing your cat after they've done something wrong only teaches them to run from you, and correcting a behavior after the fact, once your cat has already moved on, accomplishes nothing except confusion. One more mistake worth mentioning: inconsistency between family members. One person allows a behavior, another one punishes it. Your cat has no way of forming a clear, stable understanding of what's expected of them. So let's shift toward something a little more proactive. Because honestly, preventing unwanted behavior is almost always easier than correcting it after it's already become a habit. This starts with enriching your cat's environment, giving them healthy, appropriate outlets for their natural instincts, regular play sessions, even just 10-15 minutes a day. Burn off the energy that often turns into destructive behavior. Multiple scratching surfaces placed throughout your home, not just tucked away in one corner. That makes it far more likely your cat will choose the right option. Vertical space, cat trees, wall shelves, gives them the climbing opportunities they instinctively crave. And keeping a predictable daily routine, especially around feeding and play, reduces the kind of stress and boredom that often shows up as unwanted behavior in the first place. One last thing before we wrap up, and it's something I really want you to internalize because it changes how you'll feel about this entire process. Cats don't change overnight, and that's completely normal. You might see small improvements before you see big ones. That's actually a sign the training is working exactly the way it should. Consistency from everyone in your household matters just as much as the technique itself. Mixed signals will always slow down progress. And when setbacks happen, and they will happen, try not to see them as failures. They're simply part of how learning works, for cats, and honestly, for all of us. If there's one golden rule I want you to walk away with today, it's this. Don't focus all your energy on telling your cat what not to do. Focus instead on clearly showing them what to do in its place. That one shift in mindset. Interrupt calmly, redirect gently, reward consistently is the foundation for almost every behavior change you'll ever want to see in your cat. I'd love to know. What's one behavior you're currently trying to work through with your own cat? Drop it in the comments. I read through every single one, and there's a good chance I'll cover it in a future video. Thank you so much for watching all the way through. It genuinely means a lot. And if you want more practical, real-world tips on understanding your cat's behavior, make sure you stick around for what's coming next.